movies, shorts, film. How about a festival? Today we meet Johnny Catalano with Catalano Film Festival. That's right, Film Festival happening here in Miamisburg, March 1st. Come on in and hear all the details to get your movie time on.
Welcome to the Dayton Approved Podcast with Frank O'Neill. This is where the local Dayton businesses get a spotlight.
Welcome to Dayton Approved, exploring Dayton small businesses and nonprofits with Dayton Discount Furniture. Today we have Johnny Catalano with Catalano Film Festival.
That's right.
How you doing, Johnny?
Good, Frank. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was obviously a little nervous with your last name, Catalano. I've said it like 50 times before we started recording, but I think I got it down now.
You did great. I think you're on the right track.
I appreciate it. Well, let's jump into what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about obviously the film festival.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming up here soon. Mm-hmm. I believe you said it's going to be March 1st.
That's correct. Saturday, okay. March 1st. Yep.
Saturday, March 1st. So we'll talk more a little bit about that film festival here in a little bit, but I like to start off with talking about everyone's little parts of their mission statement. Mm-hmm. And I know that the first part that I jotted down is you like to celebrate and highlight regional cinema.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. How do you guys do that with the film festival and whatnot?
Yeah, great question. As I see it, there's films. There's two types of films, really. I mean, there's Hollywood films and then there's independent films. Right. And in even a subsect of that, there's regional independent films. Now, with regional film, that basically means when, I feel like, in lay terms, regional cinema is, films that are made in specific regions of the country, maybe even the world. But in the terms of the United States, we're talking like, in the Midwest, especially in our neck of the woods. Right. I feel like, maybe a lot of people, of course, go to see, the Hollywood films, or maybe they're watching films on Netflix, which are made by, massive major studios. But they may not know that there's filmmakers living right next door, and are making great work
locally here in Dayton.
Absolutely, yeah. And Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, you name it. There's people out there who are making really, great art, great films, and they're. A lot of the time, there's no money behind it necessarily. Like, there's no huge production studio that's telling them, oh, you have to make it this way. You have to do it this way. They're making it from the heart, and everything's usually just straight from the heart. And there's really no capital gain from it necessarily.
Yeah, they're just doing it from an artist standpoint.
Absolutely. And I think there's a purity to that. And my mission, my goal is to uplift those filmmakers. And to showcase their work in a grand way where it encourages them to keep wanting to make their films.
And you want them to keep going.
Absolutely, and I want people to know about them. There's filmmakers that anytime I show their films in the festival, even like people in my family or maybe friends are like, oh, is Joe making a new film this year? They're even keeping track, like they're a Hollywood director.
Right, so, they're keeping tabs. They're excited for the new.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the main, achievements, I guess, of the festival is being able to do that for these filmmakers that I really admire and respect their work. And I just want them to continue to do it. And I think having this like annual thing where we just celebrate them is important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know that you were saying that you do normal or longer films or whatever. Yeah. But also a lot of it's shorts. And I know you said, I believe this year, mainly there are going to be short films is the main showcase. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't even know if a lot of people know even where to go look for short films, other than maybe online. Maybe, it's just not some.
That's a good point.
They don't really have a good place to showcase them. So, to celebrate that and to build awareness for it, I think is just amazing, especially when you're dealing with local artists here in the Dayton area. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you said that you are an Ohioan for life so far.
So far.
And you are a Daytonian of 5 years.
That's correct. I grew up in the Cincinnati area. Mm-hmm. for people who aren't familiar with like the, you know, greater Cincinnati area, I'm from Westchester.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, grew up down the street from like Kings Island and all that type of stuff, which was fun.
I love me Kings Island, man. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love it too. We have a season pass and
That's
we
awesome.
go. It's fun still. We still make the drive, you know. Even though I don't live there anymore, but
it's worth it.
It's worth it. Plus my parents live down there, so you know,
you
you
go.
can stay the night. Yeah, I moved up here. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, she grew up in Beaver Creek area, so you know, lived in Dayton her whole life. We met in college, and you know, we were dating when we both graduated, and so we just ended up moving back to her house. You know, so
her neck of the woods, we'll say.
Yeah, her neck of the woods. So you know, it's you know, just like moving to any new place. Like obviously, it took me a while to like you know learn like where's the nearest like Kroger. You know, you know those types of like normal things. But I soon grew to just love Dayton, all things Dayton, you know. Still the pizza still learning to like the pizza. You know?
Not a Marion's lover, huh?
You know, I grew up on the Roses, you know.
Okay,
so,
yes.
I'm a the Roses, like, that's like my favorite pizza of all time.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people maybe don't feel that way about it.
No,
but.
I mean, well, I know people from Cincinnati love it.
Yes,
I know.
Yeah.
My family's from Cincinnati, and anytime we had a get together, it's La Roses.
Yeah.
But what's interesting up here in Dayton, it's Marion's.
Marion's.
Yeah, it's all that thin, square pizza.
Square. It's all about the squareage, as they say.
Yeah.
Dayton pizza is actually kind of a rich history. I don't want to get too in the weeds with this one, but you know, you have like Marion's, you have Casano's, you have Ron's. Actually, that's in Miamisburg area. Yeah. Which is kind of a similar Dayton style pizza as well. But I'm a huge, you know, still growing to like that one.
Yeah.
But I love all things Dayton. You know, we go down to, you know, and it's such a rich arts history here. Actually, you know, with you know, you have Paul Laurence Dunbar. Who's from here, like a world-renowned poet, you know, and the Schuster Center, I think, is that whole Dayton Arts Alliance is just one of the true treasures of the city.
There's a lot of was it Frank Lloyd Wright homes around too?
Yeah. There's one in Springfield, which is really cool, and of course you have the wonderful industrial revolution type stuff going on as well. You have the Wright brothers. You have Kettering, all that they did with, and then you have, you know, the National Cash Register, all that good stuff, you know, all the.
It's true. It's a bunch of great stuff.
Hey, and of course Dave Chappelle lives down the street from here. So
that's right. That is right.
We have some really cool, great art history that, you know, maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, but you know, I think that Dayton is still very strong in my opinion. Especially if that Schuster Center, you have a lot of like the Neon, you have movie theaters that are playing, you know, independent cinema, just like the Plaza is, the one where this festival takes place. So I grew to love Dayton, and I just grew to love the area. I actually like because I teach at UC, so I like how Dayton's a little less.
Congested,
hustle and bustle.
Yeah,
you know?
I call it congested, but
congested for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot like it's a lot less
city-like.
City-like, yeah. Like maybe that's somebody's thing, but that's never been my thing. You know, I'm a suburb kid. You know, so I kind of like the easygoing nature of Dayton for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people I've met that not originally from Dayton or they visited Dayton. They like it.
Yeah.
They do. They genuinely like it. The people that don't like Dayton, oddly enough, are the people that's never left Dayton.
True.
They just have no idea how good they've got it.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it's really interesting.
Yeah.
What I've noticed. So
yeah, I love it. I mean, I listen. It's my
everything
home now,
you need.
so.
Everything you need's here.
Yeah,
everything you need.
Everything.
It's great.
Yeah.
And affordable to live. Safe, great for families. I mean, it's a phenomenal place.
I think
love
so.
it myself.
Yeah, and I live in Centerville, so I love that. Especially.
Oh, there you go. I grew up in Centerville, so I know Centerville very, very well.
Great. Yeah.
Well, nice. Well, that jumps us right into, I guess I could say, your story. Yeah. So, how did you decide you wanted to do all this stuff and have a film festival? And where did it all start? Let us know.
Well, I think it all starts. Way back in the womb. I'm just joking. Of course, like I think it starts.
You heard a movie being played while your mom was,
Yeah, absolutely. That was exactly it. No, I think it was. if you love something, I think it usually starts at like a pre-conscious level. You know, like I probably was like 6 or 7, maybe even earlier. I don't know. My dad was watching a movie for a few dollars more, the Sergio Leone spaghetti western from Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
Which we're actually showing at the Plaza Theater late in February.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of cool. That was kind of like when the light flipped on, I think. I just remember my dad like calling me in. There's like this end duel scene with like Mexican standoff type thing, where they are beautiful music by Ennio Morricone is playing, and it was just a very powerful moment for me because my dad was like, "Hey, watch this. This is great." Yeah. And then I remember even hearing him say like, "This is a Sergio Leone movie." Like that was the first time I heard a director like was even behind something. Right. I just thought these movies just existed. Yeah. I didn't even think there was anybody behind them. So that was really kind of like what kicked it off. There's been if I went down the line of all the movies that like probably like maybe want to even do it even more, pursue this life in film, I could, but I won't waste too much time on that. But yeah, I mean that was really it, and I ended up, I had two kind of passions. I always had this passion to join the military as well. Yeah. So I ended up doing that at quite an early age. I joined when I was 17. My parents had to like sign off on it and everything. Which is cool because it's not really too heard of in today's world because like everything's like 18, gotta wait. Right.
I remember, my parents, they're a little older. I remember hearing them say like, oh yeah, you can join at, 15, 16.
Right.
Your parents just sign off, and I'm like, no way. Like that would never happen. I could imagine that happening in today's world. So definitely not that young, but I'd say even 17 is a little too young. Yeah, I was too young. Yeah. I think am I happy I did it when I did it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think you always are when you're done with something. It's cool though because like you're out, right? Like you're on your own. Yes, that was like the first time I was like legit, on my own. It was a scary process for sure. Little 17-year-old Johnny's probably like, if I had to go back and be like, man, come on. It was certainly an interesting experience. You had to grow up pretty much on the fly, you know? And it was certainly, it's informed a lot of my artistic life as well, I think, just, all the people you meet and the experiences you have, and it makes you grow like really thick skin as well. When you have drill sergeants saying all types of expletives and stuff like that in your face, and really pushes who you are as a person, your characteristics, your personality. Right. I mean, it really focuses or makes you focus on who are you as a person. And they break you down. I know that. They break you down. They break you down. I think that's really where I kind of like was like, I think I want to do this film thing. Yeah. Where I was like, this, and I'm still in the National Guard and I'm, moving to public affairs and all that good stuff, which is like kind of the film realm of the Army. Yeah. Still, I think that in that moment when they're kind of breaking you down to your little essence, who you are, that's when I was like, I think I would just want to, I want to explore existence for a living, and that's generally what an artist does, and not to sound like overly pretentious, but like that's kind of how I want to dedicate my life. Is making art and celebrating art, and I think that was just existing, and what's really great about having art in your life is that you get to not exist with like both eyes closed. You can exist with both eyes open, and you're always digesting things in your life, and you're hopefully as an artist you are displaying that in your art. It's like being heard. Being heard, for sure. Yeah. And for me, like the cinema that I like are not cinema that like answers questions. I like cinema that asks questions. Yeah. And that to me is a great experience. It's therapeutic, Right. Because life's hard. It's a hard
And if you look at history, if you look at world events, like you're like, wow, life really is hard. But having art as an outlet, I think is super necessary. Even if you're just digesting art, you don't always have to be making art. Like I think everybody needs music. Everybody needs movies. Yeah. Everybody needs TV shows. Anything that like you like to absorb throughout your day, everybody needs it. So. That's in the Army is where I really learned, like, okay, I think this is what I want to dedicate my life to, in some way, shape, or form. So, that's kind of where the whole filmmaking thing began. And of course, I went to school for it. I went to Bowling Green. I did film production there. And I graduated at the nick of time of COVID.
Of course.
Yeah, in 2020, when, not only film jobs weren't available, but just like jobs were hardly available to like newly graduated students.
Oh yeah, I mean it was just like a hole. It was wild.
It was a hole, and it was tough going. I don't even think I remember all the things I applied for, let alone interviewed for. So it was an interesting time for sure. I was kind of a lost puppy. I was like, I have this degree. I want to use it, but I don't know if that's viable, and like, is it viable here in Dayton? Is it viable? Do I have to like move somewhere or anything like that? Right. So that was interesting. And it was after I actually interviewed for this one job in Dayton where I was going to be like their videographer and editor or whatever. And I actually got it.
Oh, nice.
And, well, you say that now, but the job ended up being a little interesting, to say the least. Like, it's hard to even describe. But it was so bad that I think I only worked it one day.
Oh, really?
One full day. And I was like, to my wife now, girlfriend at the time, I was like, is it okay if I don't work this job? Because this isn't working for me. It was just, it was absolutely not what I wanted to do. I was like filming like real estate, like, and it was for a home healthcare company that shall not be named. It was interesting. It was an interesting venture.
Do they still exist, the home healthcare company?
I don't know. I don't know if they do or they don't. Yeah. It's been a while, and again, they shall remain nameless because they're a local company, I think. Oh, okay. But interesting ownership. So I came home. I was just defeated. I was like, I'm like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't know if anything's for me. So I immediately just like called up my one friend who I knew from a film internship, and she like produced a couple shorts and made a couple short films. Okay. And I was like, hey, do you just want to make a short film? Like let's just do something artistic. Like let's try to stop with the whole like career mindset thing for a second. Let's just do something artistic, like on a Saturday night. Let's shoot a film. So we shot this film. It was called Funeral for Furmansky. Interesting name. But I acted in it. I directed it. I wrote it. And it was a really awesome experience. Making any type of film is always fun. But this one was therapeutic for me, just being able to
most
be
art
behind
is.
it.
That's what I was, I've talked to several artists, and, the whole process of art is really a therapeutic ordeal. It's like, I got to get it out. I'm doing something, I got to get it out. And they do with whatever it is, with the film they make or the painting they paint or the song they sing, they just, whatever it is. And it's very interesting. I've never personally experienced that. I don't know how, if I can.
You never know.
I would like to one day maybe get there, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I hear it and I see it and I understand it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can do it.
I get, and trust me, when you step into the arena at first, you don't know if you can do it either. You know, like I had no idea if I could direct a film. I didn't know. Like, you always hear about directors and like what their process is and everything, but you really don't know until you're on set.
Right.
And you're like, under the, the gun, essentially. You have to make something happen. Right. So that was a fun experience. And the whole experience of editing the film was a blast. And the screening of it was really what got me into like what we're going to talk about today, with the festival. I had a short film on my hands that I wanted to show people, that I wanted to premiere to people. And I was like, well, it's 40 minutes, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to come out, get a babysitter, all that good stuff for a 40-minute film, Right. So I was just thinking about it, like, could I maybe like show a couple other friends' films and then like kind of like package it as like one night of like regional cinema. And that's essentially what I ended up doing. And that event was just called Regional Cinema at the Plaza Theater, and that was the first event I did at the Plaza. And that kind of ignited a relationship with us too, that has been going ever since. But that event went great, and I was just thinking to myself after that, like, well, what if I just did this annually and just branded it as something, just called it something. And, I figured I had a last name that kind of sounded like a fancy schmancy European film festival or something like that. So that's what I called it.
When I first saw it, and I'm sure other people think this too.
Okay.
Catalano wine mixer, baby.
Well, that's why last year I always have a wine sale.
There you go.
And I call it the Catalano wine mixer.
All right.
So all wine's like $5 or something like that. So it's fun, I definitely have like fun with it,
for sure.
So I mean, that's kind of the following year. So that screening was in 2022 for my short film, and then 2023 is when I started the Catalano Film Festival and so on and so forth, and this is the third year.
So they, City of Fairborn last year started this thing called a wine walk. It's the first year they did it, and they actually had a really good turnout.
Oh, wow.
And the whole idea was all the small businesses would buy wine, and then the chamber ran it, and they paid $25 for a ticket.
Oh, wow, that's not bad.
Every business would give wine out.
Cool.
So we had to buy the wine, the small businesses, but it got like 70 people into the store at different times doing because they would
just walking around after wine.
And then if they went to all 30, there was 30 businesses that participated. So they went to all 30. So that's a lot of wine.
30. Yeah.
So they told us, they're like, there's 30. So you only got to give them like a little bit of wine. And they do all that. They get their passport signed. We'd sign it.
When is that?
It was done at the. I don't even know when it was. It was like in the summer.
Oh, man.
When they did it. And
I figure I'm going to empty my schedule out.
Oh, it was awesome. And then if you do that, then your name would be put into the drawing. And all of us had to donate one bottle of wine.
Oh, cool.
So you would win. The winner got 30 bottles of wine.
Wow.
So $25 to do it.
Yeah.
And then you had 1 in a 70 chance. Not everyone finished.
Right.
So let's just say like half of them finished. You got 1 in 35 chance of winning 30 bottles of wine for $25. Wow. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a really cool event.
Plus, you get to drink wine at all the places.
I know.
And it was cool because we got
makes shopping all the more fun.
Absolutely. And then we also got to, they got to meet. I got to meet a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So, past customers, potential future customers.
Yeah.
Just be part of the community. And it was a great, nice little walk. It was fun.
Man, I should tell that to the Miamisburg Chamber of Commerce. They probably
call
like
it the Catalano
wine mixer.
Yes.
Frank, you just gave me a great idea. We'll put that in the pocket. And,
that's right. Catalano wine mixer right there. Yeah. That's what it is.
Great idea.
Walking it around. Then you could use it as just get, I don't know, 10% or something.
Yeah.
Or, maybe they'll let you just run it. I don't know.
That'd be awesome. Man, that's a good idea.
So there you go. It's a nice little fundraising thing to do.
I'd be getting great ideas.
And get the community out.
Yeah,
right?
that's awesome.
People love wine walks.
They do.
So, but anyway, enough of that. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. But
now we got a great idea out of it, so that's all right.
Hey, there you go. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of when you said that Catalano wine mix. Funny. So yeah, that brought you to. That's how you, I guess, figured out how to do this film festival then.
Yeah.
And now this is the 3rd annual film festival that you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely proud to say that. It's interesting when time passes. You know what I mean? Like I'm hitting my 10-year mark with the Army. It's the 3rd year of the festival. It's been a couple years of like some other places I've been working, you know, so I'm like, it's like, you always are like, wow, it's that much time has passed, but yeah, it's a 3rd
Just wait till you get older, then you can say, man, 20 years.
I know. Yeah, well, I'm looking for, but trust me, when Catalano Film Festival has our 20, I want that to be a big year. Well, even 10, you know, 10's going to be a big one.
10 is a big one.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to 10 and 20, and hopefully, you know, obviously, like, you know, and every year I'm always building kind of like a network of people who are interested in like working and collaborating. So like, hopefully, like even when I'm gone, you know, like which happens to all of us, you know, like
of course,
I want the festival to continue on, you know, because like to me that's important to just have, you know.
Now, you said the original one, you had a film. Have you been putting a film in every year?
No, I'm a little precious with my film making and creativity. So it's been 3 years since I've made, or at least 4 years since I made a short. But I've been developing a feature for a while now.
Okay.
But you know, that will probably be another couple years.
Okay.
Just because, you know, funding and making sure it gets distributed correctly and all that.
So I mean, truly, I mean, you're doing this festival. It's you know, you're doing it because of celebration of art. I mean, it's not like you're not getting rich off it. Let's just put that out there.
No, definitely not. No, definitely.
So like you originally started for yourself. I get that. But in reality, now you said, you know, you're not even putting a film in it. So. But
you know, for me, like I always. Even if I'm not putting a film in it, every year feels like an artistic expression in a way. Like even though I might not be telling a narrative film, which of course is like always like what every filmmaker wants to do.
Yeah.
Still like programming it, doing all the promotionals for it, doing all the press for it, selecting the films, all that good stuff. That to me is in and itself an artistic.
Form of art.
Yeah, absolutely. And I under my you know, title, I suppose. I guess I'm a exhibitor of sorts. I guess like a film exhibitor. So that to me is an important part of me as an artist. You know, I always want to maintain that kind of like film exhibitor aspect of my life. Like just always, even like throughout. I mean,
it keeps you in the scene still.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps me in the scene, and it also, you know, I'm a firm believer in educating people on film, both modern and especially older films. You know, and that's what I do as a teacher at UC, and that's also what I do with the Plaza when we show older films. I just love cinema. I live and breathe it. So like, I just want to, like, I always see it as like I may not make a film every year, but I will have the festival every year. Yeah. So I always have an artistic outlet. You know.
No, I just think it's cool because like you know it's you're not doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Is the point I was trying to make. Like you're doing it for art in general, and that's awesome. That's admirable, and that's cool. That's what I was just trying to point out.
Oh no, I appreciate that, and I'll take the humility.
Yeah. That's you know that's all it was.
Yeah.
But. No, that's cool. So I mean, it's a really interesting story. It's inspiring. It's great.
Oh, thanks.
You know, for our, people that want to be artists and giving people an outlet to show that is really cool. But that leads us to the next question, which is like how do you support local artists? And I mean, obviously that's an easy one for you because you do it in so many different ways. You know, just giving them a place to showcase it, and you know, bringing all sorts of people to you know, to the area that support. You know, talk about like kind of what the festival does. I guess like how that does help the local community.
For sure. You know, there's tangible stuff, you know, like, for instance, it's usually just one long day of just like film, and I treat it as a festival. So like people can come in and out. If they want to see a certain film, they could watch that, and they can go and, you know, get a drink somewhere or go eat somewhere, go get coffee somewhere. So there's that tangible stuff where like, it's just helping the local businesses with, you know, folks who are just going out to get something to eat. And there's a bunch of people who are in Miamisburg who wouldn't be there otherwise, for the festival. I've had people come in from Pittsburgh, from West Virginia, from Indiana, from Northern Ohio, all the way from
all over
Cleveland. So absolutely. And that to me is a cool experience because unless you live in this area, you may not even have heard of Miamisburg, so and they have a wonderful downtown. It's been so, revitalized. There's some really great new restaurants that have opened up. New coffee shops, all that good stuff. So it's really cool to just see people coming in and treating it like a legit film festival and having a good time and maybe going out to get a beer at the new brewery across the street or getting something to eat. So that's that tangible.
We're going
stuff.
to that Good Time Charlie's. Always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a good time, Charlie's.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that. Instant economic, you could see it,
Yeah.
But then, of course, you have, like you said, with just showing the films and stuff like that. Like, I get how hard it is for some of these filmmakers to make the films. And I 100% understand how hard it is to book an event, to plan an event, and to rent out an event space. It's not cheap for these filmmakers. And a lot of film festivals charge these filmmakers like hand and foot just for submitting, and they may not even get in.
Yeah.
My film festival has always been my invite. I look at films all year long, and then I'm like, okay, here are the films I feel like are interesting and will curate well into the festival, and I don't charge filmmakers.
Yeah. That's cool because I know that's something that you said is a little unique as well.
I think so. I think it's again, I don't want to profiteer off of the filmmakers. I'll obviously take the tickets, because I ran the event and all that good stuff. It's a lot of work, but I don't charge submission fees. I don't do any of that, just because I want it to be. I don't want it to get to a point where it becomes cynical, and where people are like, "Oh, he's just doing that just to make, money off of our projects or whatever it is, off our art." I don't see it that way. I see it as a celebration, and not as a this is a get rich quick scheme, which a lot of film festivals actually are anymore.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me.
It's a sad world out there.
It really is.
Yeah, taking advantage of a lot of people who just want recognition or something like that. So I try to avoid that and stay true to what the festival is and have it be human. You're not. This isn't a online festival where you don't even know who's in charge or anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously who's in charge of this one. It's my last name. I am in charge, so you have somebody you can trust and go to, and I'm not trying to screw you over. You know, I'm just trying to have a good time show great films.
You also give awards too, so tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. We do give out awards. I try not to make it super competitive, but I do want to recognize people and their achievements and all that good stuff. So there's a bank of people I've met over the years, some ex-professors and stuff like that who look at the films. They're kind of considered the judges. So there's kind of an impartial look at the films, and they are the ones who vote on each category. So who wins best director, who wins best actor, who wins best short film, so on and so forth. Just down the line. So that's always fun. I think people don't. They obviously really love when they win an award. And for a lot of people, this sometimes is their first ever award for working in film. Which, we don't do things for, some people might, but I think for the most part, people aren't doing stuff for awards, but awards are nice. Yeah. I think that you're lying if you are saying an award isn't nice, because it recognizes, a job well done, know, and all professions do it, military does it all the time, so, I think it's a validation, and I think that validating some of these filmmakers is important to just keep them going, keep them encouraged. You are doing well, you are doing great work, and just keep going.
So some of the things that set you apart are different. I know you said that you pretty much do all the stuff yourself, the graphics, and setting it up, and all that as well. So you did briefly talk about that. But also you were saying, the atmosphere that you created. It's not a competitive atmosphere. It's more of just an atmosphere of celebration. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just an energy that I think was organic, I didn't necessarily try to do this, but I've noticed just I think with my attitude or with, and by the way, my wife helps tremendously. So I definitely
gotta give props where it's deserved.
I do. She helps tremendously, and I wanted to make sure I say that in this podcast for sure, because it's very true. So kind of the atmosphere we both make for the films, we're welcoming to the filmmaker. We want to make it feel like they're at home, and also even though there's awards and stuff like that, I've just noticed there's an energy of just happiness every time I see people. It's always just a lot of people talking about each other's films with each other, not a competitive, just wow, how'd you do that? What made you think of that? They're talking about they're getting instant feedback on their films, these filmmakers, because sometimes when you just release a film on YouTube, you might see a comment or two. They're just great job, thanks mom. It's nice to see instant feedback from people that you don't even know and aren't in your your sphere of collaborators. You want to get outside perspectives. That's very important as a filmmaker, and I always urge filmmakers, even if it's not at my festival, just do that, because you need to know if your film's working or not, or what you're doing is working, with an audience, because that's instant feedback. A joke lands, people are laughing, it's working. If it's not, it's not working. So, but that being said, obviously people are nervous to always see their films in front of an audience. Sometimes you'll see a filmmaker go out to the lobby and man, I gotta wait till my film's over, I just can't watch it. But I get that, everyone's been there if they've made a film and stuff like that. But no, always after the screenings, everybody's just always having fun, they're always celebrating, even if somebody won an award over somebody else, they're always just oh, great job, great work, stuff like that. So it's just an atmosphere of celebration, and it's not an atmosphere of they won this year, oh my gosh, and I want to keep it that way, I always want to maintain that atmosphere of, well, first of all, grandeur. I always try to make it feel like a real deal event that people are looking forward to all year, and that celebrate their films and make it, have an element of class, it's a classy affair. But not suit and tie class. You can wear whatever. But also just an atmosphere of celebration and accepting everybody's art, and taking it in. And
giving people the opportunity to, we kind of touched a little bit about, was feeling heard or accepted. I know we were in the pre-show, we were talking about imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you said that's a big thing in the industry. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I find that fascinating.
Absolutely. I mean,
it makes sense though. When you said
100%. I only know what I know, and the people that I do know. I'm sure that even Hollywood directors deal with this. Who knows? But I think everybody always has that element of imposter syndrome if you're working in the arts. Is what I'm doing valid? Is what I'm doing changing the world by storm? What I mean? Stuff like that. I've even had it where I'm maybe writing something and I question is this really valuable? Is this even worth?
Important? Am I important?
Yeah, right. You don't want to be super pretentious about that type of stuff, but everybody deals with it,
Sure.
And that happens with all the filmmakers in the festival, and they would even say that, so I'm sure they're not even offended when I say that. But they just want to know that their work is valid, especially when you feel you're in a regional filmmaking atmosphere where a lot of your films probably are just going out into the vacuum, you know, like they're not really being seen by many, many people. They're not like blockbusters that are coming out at your, you know, near Cinemark. You know, these are films that are being shown at theaters or like maybe on, you know, YouTube or something like that. So I definitely want to like showcase their films and make them feel like valid artists, because they are, you know, like not just like, oh, you guys are these lowly, you know, film, like to me, they're as valid filmmakers as some Hollywood filmmakers, honestly. Like, the only difference between the filmmakers at my festival and Hollywood filmmakers is money. Yeah. That's the only difference. All the talent, all the skill is there. Money is the only thing keeping them from, you know, having the latest hit on Netflix or whatever.
You think so? 100%. That's it.
100%. There's some filmmakers I absolutely think could be easily working filmmakers in the industry, but there's obviously gatekeepers in the industry. Do you know what I mean? So, and it requires money to make a film. Right. Some of these people are making these shorts for like peanuts. You know what I mean? Like maybe $1,000. Yeah. And some blood, sweat, and tears, and they're really, really great. Like, I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm going to this film to see them like, you know, homemade movies. These are very professional films. Yeah. And all that.
I heard vertical films are becoming a thing because of our phones.
Well, yeah. I mean, like me and you know, my day job's kind of advertising. So like a lot of the vertical stuff, everything's vertically shot, because like we're shooting for Instagram Reels, TikTok, all that stuff.
Yeah, so like a full-blown movie is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's the future. Like, who knows what the future is?
And if you think about that, it's a total different shot.
Oh, 100%.
Than what we're used to, because we're all like wider.
Right. And
but really, when we're looking at our phone, it's straight up and down.
True. Yeah, and obviously like the advent of all those social medias and what have you, but that's obviously going to change cinema a lot. Yeah. You know, there's going to be a time where like narrative film might be just like silent film. You know what I mean? Like, are people going to be making narrative films? Who knows? I just don't know. I can't tell you what the future holds for you know, this medium, but I know what made me love the medium. So like that's really all I can kind of like give towards it. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, a lot of stuff's out of your control. Yeah. With like the industries
where
that you
work in. Where it's going
and
all that.
Yeah, and you know all the you know, unfortunate LA fires that just occurred. You know, like.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing.
It is, but I think it's also kind of starting to almost this element of, or at least this thought of, should all the industry be in this one place? You know, like why can't we spread the wealth? Yeah. You know, like why can't there be studios in Cincinnati? Why can't there be? I mean, there are, you know, but like they're Hollywood films coming in, shooting here. Like why can't we have homegrown films?
Yeah, why has it got to be all in one area?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you have Atlanta, which is a big hub. Like New York still has some.
Well, I mean, I think it's because of the history of LA, though.
Yeah.
The land of dreams.
Absolutely.
It was sold on. It was a dream that was sold, and it got to the point where it was very, very rich people.
Yes.
And then I can do whatever I want.
Right. Yeah. Very true.
Let's be real. Yeah. That's why there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in LA.
For sure. It's a
they needed a way to pull talent in to be able to do their shenanigans.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and just for me and
follow the money, you find the truth, though, is what I always
very
tell
true. The money is usually the source of most things. Yeah. Good or bad.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying it's either good or bad. I'm just saying that's what it came down to.
Oh, 100%. I mean, people. Yeah.
And then people go out there. I mean, I remember people when I was in my 20s. I remember people would be like, "Yeah, I'm going to LA." I'm like, "What's your plan?" I don't know. I'm just going out there. I'll figure it out.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I know that story well. You know, like I have a lot of friends who've done that. It's still a dream today. Yeah, very much.
But they've gotten into a lot of crazy stuff.
And that's what I want. I would love in my lifetime, like especially somebody who loves what I wanted. Yeah. You know, loves cinema. Like I would love
to clean that up.
To clean that up and like and like nothing against like LA and stuff. Like you know, obviously I don't want to, speak ill of it, especially right now, but like, I would love if there was just more of a democratic filmmaking world in the United States. You know, like why can't people be making these homegrown films? Like these, like why can't the money move out of just one singular place? Like why can't we move studios all across the country? You know?
It's because they figured out how to do it, and it's also a combination of they paid their dues and they feel entitled. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, you know, I had to do X, Y, Z to get where I'm at, and now I'm going to make it even harder for the next person to get there.
Yep.
And that's the nature of what
it's a gatekeeping.
do.
It's a gatekeeping.
Like you said, the whole gatekeeping. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think with new technology comes new opportunity. Like
100%.
YouTube, even with X doing video there now. I mean, all sorts of stuff.
It was interesting. There's a filmmaker, Francis Ford Coppola, who made The Godfather and Apocalypse Now and all those great films. He at one point in one interview I saw, and it was funny because he even mentioned Ohio at one point, but he was like, with the new technology, I think the next great artist, the next great filmmaker who makes the most, you know, a powerful film that moves generations will be some girl, you know, in her backyard shooting with a video camera. He said this in the 90s.
Yeah.
In Ohio or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that to me spoke to me because I'm like, with our modern technology, it's really like we can make films look very, very professional.
Oh,
and look really, really good. It's just about, you know.
Same with audio and music.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing. You can be anywhere.
It's you know, again, like if we just have a little more money just to make these shorts and the features, you know, like I think that again, like these films could easily be heavy hitters in another world, you know, and or at least in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Again, like I just think it's very doable.
I mean, if there was some sort of platform that would make sense for it.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
well, and again, it doesn't matter if I don't mind if we, you know, sell these films to, you know, Amazon Prime or Netflix or what have you. Like that's all good with me. It's just about, you know, getting the work out there, getting it done, you know. And that's the most important part. So, I think there's definitely a renaissance coming for filmmakers who don't really have that bug to move out to LA, you know. And so I'm one of those people. I'd move virtually anywhere else besides LA for filmmaking. I don't see the appeal. Desire.
I don't see the appeal. I see it's far away. It's not easy to get anywhere else in the country. I'm
a big, like, and this sounds like a little thing, I guess, but like I'm a big seasons guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm like into it too. Just year-round summer. You know, I want.
I think the idea is cool. I don't want to live that though.
No.
It's something about winter, like right now.
Yeah. I love the winter.
It's funny because I was trying to explain this to my ex-girlfriend. She was all Florida.
Right.
We're moving to Florida. No, I'm not. I'm cool where I'm at. Maybe when I retire, but not now. I said there's a beauty of having, you know, being here, and it's -4. I get it. It sucks.
Yeah.
But it makes you appreciate so much.
Builds character.
So much more of when it is warm.
Right. Absolutely.
It makes you go to the sun when the sun's out on that day when it's sunny. Even if it's 30 degrees like today.
Yeah.
It felt great.
I loved it. And you were born in February, right?
I was born in February.
I think if you were born, like I was born in December, you know? So I feel like if you're born, like kind of like, I don't know if there's anything to this, but maybe there's like oh, you're like a child, you're a child of the winter.
Your DNA somehow.
Maybe. Yeah. But I like going to like a coffee shop in the winter and like working out, you know, and just seeing like the snow outside. The fall I love
hot chocolate. Autumn. I'm not drinking hot chocolate on the beach.
No.
All right? Sorry, not happening.
No.
So, like, you know, I got to drink hot chocolate when there's snow on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love it. And even the summer, like the summer's like, oh, like it's finally here, you know?
Yeah.
But then you get sick of it. You're like,
of course, you're ready for it to go.
I want the fall to come. And then, like, in the winter, you're like, when's spring coming? Like, there's something about that is important to, I think, the human experience.
It's the yin and the yang. It's the good and the bad.
Right.
It's the whole concept. If everything was good and nothing was bad, good wouldn't exist.
Yes.
That's what people don't remember.
Absolutely.
So if it was nothing but sunny and warm all the time,
right,
then it wouldn't actually exist. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the filmmaker Tim Burton, you know, like he's had a good point because he grew up in like Burbank.
Yeah.
You know, and like That's why he's always obsessed with like Christmas or Halloween in his movies.
Yeah.
Because he's like, that was my only way I could distinguish like what time of year it was. Yeah. Because it just felt like the same time of year.
Yeah, just because
of the decorations. That was it. Like the Halloween decorations and then the Christmas decorations. But besides that, it was just same thing.
Yeah.
Same day.
That's amazing. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just think about it. If you're in warm and sunny Florida. Yeah. Or wherever, we'll say warm part of Mexico, Cancun.
Right.
I mean, if there wasn't a Christmas tree, you wouldn't know.
It's 100%.
It's crazy.
It's strange. It's very strange.
That to me is a weird concept.
I've never been somewhere like warm for Christmas, and I don't think I ever want to be.
I normally go right after November, and that's when right after November, so right after Thanksgiving. Okay. I'll go the first week of December. I always go to Mexico.
It's probably good.
And that's why I was saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great because then it extends my summer a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I love to do that. That's cool. I'll do an extension, but I'm not interested in doing a full blown.
Yeah. Well, and again, like the seasons is actually a big part of this festival as well because most of the time I schedule for late February, early March because it's still kind of cold, and and not a lot of people have a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of like nice to have an event like this where you're just kind of like inside all day.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do this in the middle of summer. People want to be out. People want to be about, like they want to be going to outdoor events or something like that. I get that, like that's why I scheduled this for like the winter where it's still cold, still dreary, and you get to just watch some movies in a nice warm building.
Yeah. I mean, that's also true about seasons. Like you're not going to want to watch a movie in a movie theater and when it's 100 degrees out.
Right, like all day long now. Yeah. Absolutely. You want to go to like a beer garden, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you want to be outside. You want to hang out.
Or go to a baseball game or something.
Yeah, it gets dark. Sun goes out at 9.
Right.
It's a whole different ordeal. Well, tell us about some successes, some milestones you've hit.
Yeah, I think like one of the coolest things I was able to do, one of the biggest milestones I was able to achieve with my relationship with the Plaza is I was able to, organize an event where we showed Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. To me, like, is probably the greatest regional film of all time. It was made in Pittsburgh by a bunch of people who were making commercials. Yeah. One among them, George Romero, another John Russo, and Russell Schreiner, who played Johnny in the film. He became a zombie in the movie. He said the famous, "We're coming to get you," or "They're coming to get you, Barbara." Which is a classic, of course. Right. But like, it was in October. I did it 2 years in a row, and it was really great, and it was super successful, and it was really fun. Just to like, I have like, it's kind of weird to think like I actually have like a friendship with those two. Yeah. Which is super weird a little bit because like it's a film that meant a lot to me even before I met them. And so being able to like, they asked me about like my son and like all that stuff, like, and we've gone to dinner and all that. So like, that's really like one of the coolest experiences I think I've ever had. Yeah. Moments I'll always remember. I think the dinner is more than the event itself. Cause the event itself, I'm like running it. It's like, but like, we just like at those dinners, I'm able to ask like, some really cool questions, like insider questions that you, like, how was George, like, what was George Romero like, like, what was his, you could ask what his favorite food was, you know what I mean? Like, it's really cool, like, inside baseball stuff. Yeah. It's that to me has been, like, one of the coolest things I've ever been able to do. It's going to be hard to beat. Maybe if I meet, like, Martin Scorsese one day, that might top it, but Night of the Living Dead means a lot to me, and it's one of those,
it's always interesting and cool to, have those like little inside things that you would never think of. Because I know you're saying you're sitting at the dinner talking about different questions. Yeah. It reminds me of, I had an employee that had a friend that he went to high school with that ended up being going to like culinary school.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he applied and didn't think he would ever get the job, but he got the job to be on the staff at the White House.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he did during Trump's first presidency.
Wow.
So he's like, hey, my buddy, he's going to be in town. He tells me all this. He's like, is there anything that like you want him to like make you? Huh. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what? I go, Trump's meatloaf. Trump's talked about.
He has like a special meatloaf.
His mom's recipe is the best there ever was. Huh. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'll talk to him about it. So sure as shit, dude, they made that meatloaf, made it brought back. And I kid you not, that was the best damn meatloaf I ever had in my life.
I'm a big meatloaf fan, so I got you.
It's Mom's special recipe.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta give that like, what's so special about it?
I don't know. It was just amazing.
Just super good.
It was so good.
Is it like ketchup? Like, is it ketchup based kind of? Or?
I don't know if it was. I would think it did probably have some on there, but it was phenomenal.
Just phenomenal. Oh, man, you're making me hungry now.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I said, that guy was telling the truth, man. It is the best meatloaf.
I've always like.
How cool is that?
That
I mean,
is
not
so
many
cool.
people get to experience that.
No, I mean, like I'm a huge like presidential nerd. Like I've been like I'm a
Look
history
it up.
buff.
He's talked about it. Sometimes you'll hear he'll say it, and you're like, whatever, But no, it's the shit.
That is so cool. That is awesome. I gotta. Man,
I don't know if I'll ever have it again, but it was
once at least you had it once.
Thing, man. It was amazing.
At least you had it once.
Trump probably don't even know I had it.
Probably not. But nonetheless, it's still a great experience.
It was cool. It was cool.
That's awesome.
So, well, that brings us to number 6. Let's talk about some challenges, some stuff that's happened. I mean, obviously it's not an easy thing to, get this whole festival up and going.
Certainly not. I think one of the main things, and I think as any entrepreneur can agree with this, is that, it's just the constant having to prove yourself.
Right.
Every single time at bat. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. I think like I'll be running this thing for, finger crossed 20 at year 20, I still think I'm going to have the same pressure under my under me because like every single year, like I think like, I do these press rounds, like every single, January, February. And it doesn't ever like become less press. It's usually more. Yeah. So like you think that like, oh, I can do, even less press this year because I did so much and maybe it's a known entity or whatever. Like I don't have to do as much. Like, no, I always have to get the word out there every single time.
Right.
And I'm my own spokesperson. I'm my own everything. I'm my own PR person. I'm the one writing emails to people. I'm the one contacting people. Absolutely. All the hats. And, can I delegate? Yeah, probably. But I don't know if I'm prepared to quite yet because it's my baby and everything. But
yeah, we all go through that.
We all go through it. And I'm sure eventually, like, if, becomes even bigger and bigger, that's going to have to be delegated. But
it'll never go exactly how you want it, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only disappointing if it goes worse than you want it.
Very true.
The possibility of making it actually better, you got to let other people in it, and you got to let other people run with those ideas, and you got to let them carve a little piece of your dream into their version, and that's how you make it better.
I agree.
It really is.
Yeah.
You get the best ideas by talking to your team and your team, letting your team run and do it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of like what we were talking about, the whole wine thing, the wine walk, right?
Very true.
That is cutting into hopefully making something bigger and better is an idea, like you said, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You probably would never have thought of that unless you had
the conversation.
Or maybe you would have. Yeah. You never know.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have.
You don't know, but that's the point.
I'm not that brilliant,
I wish I could say I'm that brilliant too. But I just know by talking. I just get lucky. Let's put it that way. By talking to people.
I think we all do. We all get lucky, and I've been lucky to meet like people who have definitely aided me along the way. But I think the challenge mainly is just again that constant making it bigger and better every year, and always having to be like, this is a real event. Mm-hmm. This is a valid event. This is a legit event. That's I don't think ever going to stop. You always have to maintain that.
I mean, now you're at year 3, so it's like we've done this for this is going to be year 3. We've done this before. This isn't just some like make believe thing.
Yeah.
So
it's always getting the new audience as well.
Yeah.
Like I every single year I always want to see new people.
Of course.
Like you don't want to just see like if it's always bad when it's just return people.
Yeah.
Because like obviously like that's an issue in itself. You just don't want continual the same people every year. Mm-hmm. So again, like going to different outlets, going to different regions, just promoting it endlessly and just hoping that.
That's how you grow the audience, grow the bubble, right? That's how you get more people in.
Yeah, extending the bubble. Yeah. So I try to do every year.
Meeting the new next person. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's never ending.
No, it's never.
A hunger that never is satisfied is what I call that.
Maybe the meatloaf. But,
maybe the meatloaf. Mom, the meatloaf.
Yeah.
Hey, Catalano wine mixer. Hey, there it is. So number 7 is, we talk about collaborating with other businesses. Now, the big partnership, I guess you could say, is with the Plaza Theater.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the Plaza Theater. We don't have a ton of time left, but go ahead and let us know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Quick, it was built in 1919, back in the silent era, so it has a really rich, cool history. At one point, it wasn't a theater; it became like a Western wear shop. And the person and the family who owned it, the Doug Sorrell, when they sold the business, and it wasn't anything; it was just laying vacant essentially.
Yeah.
In 2015, he and a bunch of other people in Miamisburg started the Plaza Theater Association, where they raised a bunch of money, they reopened it as a theater.
It's kind of like what they're doing at the Fairborn one here.
Yeah, absolutely. Little art, or is there one right in Fairborn?
Yeah.
Okay.
They keep playing the Rocky Horror Show there.
Okay.
And then it's a historic thing now.
Sure.
And then it's not even a business technically; it's a charity that they
okay.
converted it to.
Oh,
somehow.
you know what? I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's one of those situations.
Yeah.
Like where it's just
they're saving it and preserving it.
Preserving it. It's it's historical. It's got a really cool history. But they just were so gracious to me. Like when I first ran, they're a single screener. Like they have one screen, so. When you're doing your event, you're the only show in town. Yeah. So your event feels special. You don't have to compete with a film next door that you can hear buzzing from. It's really just a nice it's a beautiful space, first of all, and it's always a nice, very gracious staff. And very easy to work with, and they treat you like family. If you've been there long enough. Even if even if you're just walking in, everyone's always friendly. So it's just a great place to have an event like that. So it's been one of the blessings of my life for sure to have that relationship with them.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Well, talk about the film festival. How can people go to it? How can they get tickets? How can they support you online? How do they get a hold of you?
For sure. Well, first of all, if you want to buy tickets, which I guess is the most important part, you can go to the Plaza Theater website. There should be a link. Just go to March 1st. You just click down on the date, Saturday, March 1st. Catalano Film Festival should be the only thing there, and just click on that. And tickets are $15, but that gets you for all the films for the whole event. And then you can visit us on Facebook or Instagram. The website, I hope to get live in the next century, but I'm not a website builder, and I need to hire out for that. And wife, kid, day jobs. Yeah. It gets a little time constraining. So I think for next year, look out for that website for this year.
You know what? You can talk to Sam, my producer, and he does that.
Oh, well, you got to hook me up.
He's very, very reasonable, and he gets it done good.
Cool. Well, that's about making connections.
Yeah. So
there you go. Well, I need that in my life for sure. That website has been a,
He will make it. I mean, I don't know if you saw my website. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did that. Okay.
He did all that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We got to connect me for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's for now. Look at us for Facebook and Instagram, but it's third annual, so look out for this. Is actually, and I always feel bad about saying this, and this always sounds like disingenuous because you're going to say this about every year. But I'm really excited for this slate of films, and I think it's some of the best films we've ever had in the festival. And every single one. So we have really exciting films we have psychological thrillers, we have horror, a body horror film. We have crime film.
Okay.
We have a science fiction film. Oh. We have a sports comedy, and then we have a just a heartwarming kind of family comedy. Yeah. So it's across the board, but they're all in well-established genres that I think people will really just immediately connect with. Yeah. I'm a big firm believer, always work in genre. You know what I mean? I'm a huge any of my films that I make, I always want to work in a genre because I think it's having that as a foundation is just it already buys you a bunch of brownie points because people are like, oh, I'm going to see a horror film, but then after that you can do whatever you want. Yeah. Because you're already you already hooked them in with the genre. So like that's all, because I know my wife, for instance, like when you go to watch a movie, she types in psychological thrillers, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, she's already getting roped in with the genre, which, is a, I can go on this tangent forever, but they're all genre films, which is fun.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's great. Well, that's going to wrap us up. Is there any words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to leave us off with?
Patience is a virtue. I think that's something you have to learn as an artist for sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's even as an entrepreneur, but you just have to know that like your time will come. Your phone calls will come in. Your film will be made. It may just take you waiting for the right time, for the right people, for the right budget. Just know that like don't just give up on your dream. Because not to sound corny, but like I don't want to live in a world where I don't make films. Yeah. So like in my mind, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It may take some time, but I want to make it the right way. So patience is a virtue in life, but also just in this industry. So
I think those are great words of wisdom. I think of Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
How about that guy? Made nothing alive.
What a great guy. And he also said...
He had a vision, man.
He had a vision, and he also said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Yeah.
And those are words to live by as well.
He also cut his ear off.
Well, that's Van Gogh.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Van Gogh. Yes. Sorry.
Maybe they both did.
Yeah. Got those.
They swapped ears. But he didn't sell a single painting.
Yeah.
In his life, his brother.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
Insane. His paintings go for astronomical amount of money.
Yeah. So you never know.
You never know. You could, exactly. Edgar Allan. There's plenty of them. There's plenty of examples. Like obviously, you don't want to die like a poor, sad artist.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Just know your art is valuable.
Yeah, but just know he never got the validation.
No, but like his
legacy did. But
his art lives forever for sure.
When he was alive, though, he never got to see it.
That's insane.
It's really wild to think about.
Very wild.
Yeah.
And it's sadly the case for
a lot of people.
Too many people.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on here, Johnny.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I might have to come by and support.
I think so. It's a fun time. It's a great town. Miamisburg's great. So if you just want
March 1st, I'm excited.
Yeah, March 1st. And again, Frank, I really appreciate you having me. And this was a great time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on the show. And until next time.
Absolutely.
Right,
follow to our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to sign up for our email list and receive an email to watch the show. Wednesday at 8 a.m. Do you know a great Dayton business that you would like to see on the show? Visit our website at DaytonApproved.com and click on the Contact tab and tell us who you'd like to see.